Shadow work is a process of confronting difficult elements of ourselves, our secrets, shame, wounds, and fears. Addiction is one of the things that many of us deny within ourselves. This video is not about addiction to more serious stuff such as alcohol, cigarettes, or drugs. I'm going to be dealing with a different type of addiction. Why is this important? Because inside of us, there are many socially accepted addictions such as need for approval, being a part of hustle culture, health and weight obsession, being an alcoholic, our phones, and even coffee. This video is not about making you quit, but rather how you can use your addictions to create a healthier, more abundant, and balanced authentic self. Namaste, Sacred Masters. I'm Dr. Aiwazi Kehi, author of Shadow Work, Finding Your Light in Darkness, and I'm here to help you with your shadow work and manifesting questions to elevate your self-growth. So don't forget to subscribe for pick a card sessions, group of your numbers and your Kehi vibrations, so that you don't miss on anything that can help you realize your full potential and find your light in the darkness. Society has long been a driving force in our lives. We all need to be accepted within society because we, as relationship beings, need others to thrive. And within this society, it has dictated to us what is acceptable addictions and what is not acceptable. The reason why a workaholic can quickly become an alcoholic, or even worse, a drug addict, is because the cognitive patterns are already within us to become an addict. Without realizing it, we fall into destructive patterns because we are groomed through socially acceptable addictions, and thus the transitions to more dangerous addictions is seamless. But let me put a warning out. This video is not about making you quit. It is about making you break the cognitive patterns and mastering it. You may have an addiction without realizing it, but that doesn't mean it's bad. We just have to know how to use it to promote our sense of health physically and mentally. However, if you're addicted to the serious stuff such as drugs like heroin or cocaine, please seek professional help. Some of these require medical treatment, and I'm not that kind of doctor who can prescribe to you medication. Please see an MD instead to help you. As I said many times, don't gamble with your life. That said, let's take a look at socially acceptable addictions. What I want you to do is not to quit what you're doing. Rather, I want you to be aware so you can begin some shadow work, not in an effort to quit, but to understand how to break patterns that can influence you to take up more serious addictions like alcohol or drugs. The top 3 categories for socially acceptable addictions are food, work, and exercise. Does this blow your mind? Aren't these supposed to be great things? Not if you're addicted to it. Even things like exercise, which is supposed to be good and strengthen your body, it is still possible to have too much of a good thing. Exercise releases neurotransmitter dopamine, which is your brain feel-good chemical. Just like any drugs, the more you experience it, the more the effect of dopamine diminishes. This leads to obsession with harder regimes, and over-exercise leads to risk of physical injuries. It is no mystery that athletes, in order to keep pushing the envelope, become addicted to more serious stuff such as steroids and other illicit substances. Same goes with work. While we need to work to survive and have money, too much work means neglecting things like health, relationships, and in some cases, our happiness. We all know stress can absolutely send you into an early grave, but with the advent of words such as hustle culture, working to your grave becomes socially acceptable. Even food such as sugar is addictive, which is why the food industry dumps tons of sugars into food for the sole purpose of making them addictive. Just personally, I find the addiction to coffee the most mind-boggling. People cannot function without it in the mornings. In fact, in social media, it is common to see people joke about how their spouses shouldn't talk to them until they had their cup of coffee. It is so socially acceptable that people in the film industry will leave their jobs if coffee is not provided for them on set. People will line up at Starbucks at the risk of being late for work to get their daily dose. Replace coffee with almost anything else addictive, and you've got yourself an intervention. So, just because something is socially acceptable doesn't mean it's a good thing. Too much of anything isn't good for us. We look down at alcoholics, drug addicts, and nicotine abusers because we think of ourselves, I will never be like that. But look into your shadow self, and you may be surprised at what you find. Your cravings may be manifesting in other ways. If you catch yourself sneering at an addict, it means that you are projecting, and your shadow self does have an addictive psychological need as well. Use this projection to catch your shadow and work on it. Oftentimes we use the words, "but this is normal," and socially accepted behaviors to hide our real shadow selves. But inside this shadow self lies an insidious tendency to overdo things and cause harm to ourselves. Think about coffee drinkers. Without drinking, they experience physical pain such as headaches, but it is socially acceptable. Anyone who says they have a headache for not having coffee will have the closest person around them rush to get them a cup. Imagine that happening with marijuana. Well, unless you live in California or Colorado. But what this means is that we should not overdo things. Have a balance in your life. I'm not asking anybody to quit coffee. I enjoy a cup of coffee now and then. I don't own a coffee maker myself. I drink water all morning instead. But I'm asking you to break the pattern. For example, if you can't function in a day without coffee, try finding other ways to cope with that. Enjoy your cup of coffee without being dependent on it. Huge amounts of it. This takes the pattern of addiction and turning it into something enjoyable instead. Ask yourself in your shadow problem, what substance do I use to avoid pain? That is the basis behind shadow work. If we take something to avoid pain, we are feeding the addiction demon inside us. It is the exact same demon that drug addicts and alcoholics face. We are no different. Just because one group in society says it's okay, doesn't make it healthy for you. This also applies to things you do to avoid pain, such as video games, shopping, television, and even our phones. We could even use social media not to connect with our friends but to find approval. These are all things that can be productive and fun, but using it to avoid pain is an insidious road we don't even know we are going down to. Remember what I said in the beginning of the video. Shadow work is about confronting the difficult elements of ourselves. And this can be really hard when we love something that gives us a rush as opposed to feeling pain. Use your coffee, enjoy your meal, watch TV, exercise in balance, but always pay attention to when you do these things. When you are doing it to avoid pain, the dangerous road of addiction patterns form in your head. You are not different from the shocking heroin user or nicotine abuser. You are just partaking in socially acceptable behavior. Except maybe heroin makes one chemically dependent, unproductive, and dangerous. But the same patterns are there. We are no different from those we look down upon from our pedestal. Shadow work is about the courage to face pain rather than hide it with other behaviors. We think we are better than others just because we do socially acceptable things. But if we avoid pain through these addictions and not do shadow work, then the problems begin to build internally in our shadow, all the time hunting under the guise of positivity. Merely shifting around things that you enjoy, whether for relaxation or having a good time with friends, can make all the difference. For me, I like having a drink of coffee on a rainy day to enjoy and appreciate the atmosphere. I like to cook my own meals and try different cuisines. But my friends also know me to be a big cook and a small eater. I only eat until I'm satisfied, never till I'm full. And maybe it's just how I was brought up, but I only eat 1 or 2 meals a day. Usually one. Enjoy things for what they are. Don't use them as vices to run away from your shadow. That is addiction. Another way you can keep doing the things that you love without falling into patterns of addiction is to listen to what you talk about or what your body says. If you find yourself saying words such as, "I need to have," or "I need to do," those are falling into addictive patterns, socially acceptable or not. Another way you can tell is by listening to your body and see if you feel a need to do something rather than having fun doing it. Everything that you enjoy should be fun, relaxing, and promote a better you rather than be reliant on it. Look at what you love to do as hobbies and things that you do to relax rather than a need or a desire for it. This way, you control the addiction demon and patterns forming in your head and still do what you enjoy. Mastery of yourself is the most important thing. Remember one last thing. Addiction doesn't relate to consuming things. A need for approval fires the same addiction patterns as a need for coffee and a need for a cigarette. In the end, the best barometer is to know your body. Your body has many secrets that you may not know about. It is both your physical health and also your spiritual barometer. We are all spiritual beings having a human experience, and our body holds within it all the secrets to our life and manifesting our desires. All we have to do is listen carefully. If you want to know about the secrets that your body is trying to tell you, you can check my video on it. You'll learn how to use this skill to find enlightenment and ascend to your true authentic self. I'll see you in that video. Namaste.